What is up, everybody? Welcome to Rev Time. Today I want to talk about, well, I don't know what I want to talk about. It's kind of weird. I do want to talk about the tilt boost and how it might apply as an always-on pedal. But at the same time, I want to hear from you guys because you cats have great ears and intellect. And I would love to hear from you about how you perceive something that would be considered an always on pedal. Because for me, it's like sometimes I think, well, yes, always on because it always sounds great on. But at the same time, it's like, well, how does it end up there? And are there other uses? And I'm finding myself somewhere in the middle of all of that. Sometimes I will, especially within a session format, I've got pedals, especially something like my tilt boost, that would end up being an always on because it just fits so well in the track. And you guys have heard me talk about this before. It's like it's workflow. I'm not fitting in the track. I turn this on, even though I had good tone to start. It's not fitting as well. I turn this on. I don't touch my tone stack, and now I'm good to go. But does that mean that should always be the case? Should this pedal always be on? I don't think so, but at the same time, it's whatever works. Sometimes I want a pedal like this to truly just do more when I need it. It's like I always want someplace to go. So yeah, that being said, I would love to hear what all of you cats think about that type of stuff. In the beginning, when I was just playing and kind of noodling around, what I thought I would do is start with just the D25, the new D25 combo. It is running direct via the embedded 2 Notes hardware and Dyne-IR software. What you're hearing is a 4x12 cab with a Royer 57, which you would normally hear when I'm using my D20. It's the same exact Dyne-IR. The gain boost is pushed in. In other words, it's engaged. So it'll break up a little bit. I don't have it breaking up a bunch. If I hit it with a humbucker, it'll certainly break up. But like neck position or second or fourth position, it won't break up that much. But I thought I would start there and then just kind of slowly dial in the tilt boost. Maybe it was a little too slow and I bored you guys to death, but this is where I kind of ended up. So I was doing that little, basically it was essentially like B minor 7 to G7 is the progression, Now, if you want to get all crazy, would actually be in the key of D. And if you're a numbers chart person like me in Nashville, that would actually be the minor 6 to the dominant 7 4 chord. But anyways, I'm digressing. If you guys have questions about that, ask in the comments and I can try and sort that out for you. But for simple terms, because it's still correct, I was doing this B minor thing to G dominant 7 thing. It's kind of a, I guess, Jeff Beck thing, right? Sounds good. It needs a little bit more life. Of course I could dial in the amp, but the whole point is the amp sounds really good. That's a good sound, but I need something. And that's why I was turning on the tilt boost. right now, the way it's dialed, I don't have the drive switch engaged, so it's not adding any clipping. It is pushing the amp a bit more. Keep in mind, this is a 12 dB, or has gone from a 12 dB to a 20 dB boost, so you can hit the amp pretty hard, and you can see how I have it dialed. I'm not way above unity. But it's a bit above, and as I crank that up, it'll hit the amp even harder. But, you know, as always, you know, I've engaged this tight switch, which is cutting some lows, the most amount of lows, because without it, that sounds great. But I think it's taking up a little too much room. That sounds tighter. There's less information in the low end, so now I'm hearing more information in the mids and highs. And then tilt EQ wise, you know, definitely adding some tops, but not a lot. I could make it so it adds a bunch, obviously. Now, if I did that, I could probably bring my lows back. Which is killer. I mean, from that standpoint, now we're creating a completely new character. I wanted it to be similar to what the amp's already doing. I just needed a little bit more up top and a little bit less information in the bottom end. So you know, that would be a really great always on setting, I guess. In this case, I'm using it really because I feel like, oh, I need to fit into a certain parameter, let's say a tracking session. But that sounds really good to my ears, in my humble opinion. You guys let me know what you think. Now, obviously, if I don't have any pedals, and oh, by the way, the reverb you're hearing is off of the amp. It's the built-in reverb. Now I can start using this pedal for more than just a boost pedal. I can start engaging the drive switch. And now we're not really thinking always on, right? So now we're clipping a bit more without, you know, pushing the amp a little bit harder. That's what that drive switch does, is it does add a little bit of clipping for saturation, and then it gives it just a little more push. So for me, if you know, we went from this, if I wanted to, without changing anything, just have some more push for a solo. But now, and as I said, we're getting out of always on. Now we're kind of pushing the amp more for a solo tone. I can start bringing up the boost. Now in this case, I feel like, okay, and I've talked about this before, as I'm adding more boost, I am hearing a little bit more lows than I want to hear. So I can start turning the tilt the other way. So I'm adding highs and cutting lows, right? I just made a super minor tweak, but I think it fixed it. And then if I hit it with a humbucker, always on land into, okay, I just want to push the amp a lot harder, add some saturation. Now that's what's happening with the tilt. You know, if I keep pushing it, this is absolutely not an overdrive pedal, but it's sounding like, okay, now I've turned on a really organic, just kind of more bring out what's already there in your amp kind of overdrive pedal. And to me, that's, you know, what I was going for in designing this pedal with Dan Trudeau was, you know, if I was going to just do one side of the pedal, I wanted to be able to do exactly that, which was one, you know, the right side or the boost side of my tilt overdrive, but be able to do even more than that. Let's make it so that you can really get almost, you know, like I just demonstrated here, like overdrive sounds. So we've gone now from this tone, which is a cool tone, but if I just wanted like a solo tone, not always on, but a solo tone, or I could go back to more of a, you know, always on setting. So cool. Let me know what you guys think of all of this. Like I said, I like to hear from you guys. As I mentioned before, you've got great ears. I always just like to interact, I guess, and you know, hear from you guys. So please, in the comments below, let me know what you think of the idea of, well, what truly is like an always on box, and to your mind, why would it be always on? In my case, as I said before, it depends on the circumstances. In this case, this becomes always on in a session because it's fitting everything. I can just turn the tilt, I can use the tight switch, I can turn on the drive switch, and pretty much never leave my chair as long as I have a bass tone that's really good, and of course it is from this amp. But, you know, in other cases, it might not be an always on. It might end up being my drive sound. It might end up being the push box end of one of my favorite overdrives. Who knows? So yeah, let me know what you guys think of all that. And as always, I really appreciate you watching, and we will see you next time.